Hi, Bers. Looks like I'm live tonight. I hope the lighting is decent today. I am at a slightly different angle. To be honest, filming in my house is a little uncomfortable. It was a lot more comfortable on my front porch because I do like my privacy. But you know what? You can see a couple of things about me here. I love the colors blue and green. And again, I'm always confused about which side things are. Um, and I love plants. So I have about 50 house plants. So you just learned a little fast fact about Angel. So I wanted to come on tonight and explain something because I understand that people don't learn about government in school. And generally, these are not like dinner table conversations in families anymore. And one of the benefits of having degrees in government is that I had a chance to learn exactly how these things work. And the video that I started to make about how state, local, and city and federal governments all interact died when I started to screen share. And I just have never taken the time to remake that video. I think I touched on this a little bit in that video when I was talking to nobody. But anyway, at some point, I will slow down enough and remake that video because I think it's a great one. And I think it's just a great primer to help everybody understand who does what. So, tonight, let's talk about the weak mayor versus the strong mayor models for local governments. So, any municipality that has a mayor has a choice between being a weak mayor or a strong mayor. So, just keep that in mind as I go through some things here. I'm going to talk about a city as though it's a cruise ship. Okay, this is just the best analogy that I can come up with that makes things really easy to understand. There's a board, we'll say, again, just follow me, that controls the destiny of a ship, right? Just like there's a commission or a board that controls the destiny of the city. And these people together make decisions about where the ship is going to go, which ports it's going to stop at along the way, what the destination is going to be, where what route they might use, how much fuel they're going to bring, how much provision they're going to bring. And they also help determine things like what to do if there's a storm ahead and the Coast Guard gives you a call. What to do if you think you're coming into an area of pirates, like all these decisions, right? So the board makes those big decisions and then someone has to carry them out. So you have a ship captain, right? So in a strong mayor model, the mayor is the ship's captain and he's the one literally steering the ship. He helps make the decisions with the board, but he also literally steers the ship and says, "Oh, there's something ahead of us. Let's veer off this way," right? He actually makes the decisions happen. Okay. With a weak mayor system, which is what we have here in Three Rivers, we have a city manager who is technically the captain of the ship. He's the guy out there actually steering the ship. He's also the one, as a strong mayor would be, who is giving orders to staff and making sure that meals are served on time. And gosh, I don't know that much about ships, but I think you get my point, is that whoever is the captain of the ship is the one who's really taking care of things and really making the day-to-day happen. Yes, they're sort of part of the decision-making process, of course, because they're the one at the helm. So the board is going to listen to them because they're actually there every single day making things happen. But ultimately, if the captain wants to go left and the board wants to go right, they need to go right. Okay. So in a strong mayor system, again, the mayor is the captain, but we have a weak mayor system. So we have a city manager. You guys all know Joe Bippus. And I want to tell you a little bit about how I got to know Joe. I used to work at the cafe called Boundary Waters, which was the first cafe that opened inside Lowry's Books. Go figure. It's where I got to know Tom. I actually lived upstairs for a couple of years. It's the time in my life when I got recruited onto the DDA. And I started wicked early in the morning. I would have to be there at like 5:30, which, let me tell you, not my favorite thing. But there were these two guys that were runners, and they would come in the mornings, and their names were Phil and Joe. And they were really nice guys. And they would come in, and I happened to be in school to be a massage therapist and a physical trainer at the time. And I loved talking with them. They were funny, they were kind, they tipped appropriately, they were never demanding. They were lovely, lovely customers that I looked forward to seeing. Well, that Joe turned out to be Joe Bippus, and I didn't know it for quite some time, actually, until a member of Mayor Lowry's staff asked me why I was talking to the rat. I was like, "What? Who?" And she's like, "Joe Bippus, why are you talking to him?" And I'm like, "That's Joe Bippus? Really? I had no idea. Our city manager? That's this guy sitting over here now?" And she's like, "Yeah. Wow. What a nice guy." I served on the DDA with Joe. He was always exceptionally nice to me. We got along great. Oh, we don't always agree on everything, but I mean, as a human being, I like the guy. And I think that how you treat the wait staff or the girl making your coffee or your bagel says a lot about who you are as a person. So, Joe, if you ever see this video, I have not forgotten those times that, 12, 13 years ago or whatever. And I'm really grateful that you were a nice person that I got to interact with at O Dark 30 when I really didn't want to be at work. So, everything else that I have to say in this video that might sound critical of Joe, I want to make very sure that I'm being critical of our city manager, not Joe the human. Okay? Because Joe the human, I like. Joe the city manager, I disagree with a lot of the way that things are run. And that's one of the reasons I'm running for mayor, so that I can be part of that board that helps determine which way we're going to steer the ship and which ports we're going to stop at and what kind of provisions we're going to take, things like that. Okay. So the reason I brought this tonight is because I'm seeing so many people who think that the mayor runs the city. The mayor doesn't run the city. It's why I keep saying to everybody that electing me isn't going to change anything unless all of you get behind me. Now, if you all start showing up at City Hall with your proverbial pitchforks, demanding things, we're not going to have a choice but to listen to you. Please don't show up with real pitchforks, okay? No violence, please. But proverbial pitchforks, come there with all of your energy and let's bring up all these issues that we're having problems with. We all know what they are. We all know we've got terrible water, we've got terrible roads, we have city services that are crumbling. We don't have good bulk trash pickup anymore. We've got houses full of garbage, code violations everywhere you look. I mean, I could go on and on. Our parks look like crap. We all know this, right? So let's make sure that the board, which is the commission, knows that we all feel this way, because it's easy to kind of forget or to think, oh, well, I'm the only one this is bothering. I'm not going to bring it up. And what I've learned by talking to so many voters during this campaign is that the things that are bothering me are bothering you too. So let's get together. Let's fix this. Let's do a really good job of making sure the board knows. If we think of ourselves as the potential passengers on a cruise ship, we're the ones paying for that ship via taxes. So let's make sure that they know where our tax dollars should be going. That's what I really hope is going to happen. So another couple of things too. I really, really, really believe that with a weak mayor system, we need to have term limits. I think it's very easy to let being the mayor become your identity and to think that it makes you sit higher than everybody else. Because sitting on that dais, I've sat on that dais for DDA meetings, and I have to remember, like, wow, I remember sitting down the first time and thinking, wow, this is where the commission sits. It's here, where everybody else is right here in that room. But very quickly I realized, Angel, don't you dare let yourself think you're sitting up here. You are physically sitting up here right now, but you are right here with everybody else. And I'm never going to forget that I'm right here with everybody else. But I am going to impose term limits on myself. I'm thinking 2, maximum 3 terms. Okay, I am immediately going to start finding a way out of this because I love this city, but I also love my quiet little life. And I really love getting people involved. You can probably tell that about me as it is. So what I'm going to start doing the minute I'm elected and what I've already been doing is trying to get some new people to come on board. I want people to be joining our city boards. We've got 19 vacancies. That's a great way to get your feet wet and see how Robert's rules work, see how it feels to be on a committee, see what it means to gather support for, your idea, or, gather people to support you in the things that you want, or work with people that you really disagree with. That's a fantastic playground to learn how to get along with people you don't get along with naturally. And it helps you learn how to negotiate and how to compromise and how to come to an agreement that everybody can be happy with. So please, if you've ever thought about serving the city in any capacity, please start looking at our open boards. Start thinking about what your talents are. If there isn't a board that matches them, just think, I'm really good at X, Y, and Z. Maybe I should write something up and send it to the city. Please do that. Because even if you're not on a specific board, there are a lot of things the city needs help with. And even if you don't know right off the bat where your talent could be used, trust me, I will find something. Okay. So that's a weak mayor system works. I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place, but I'm starving and I have a great dinner on the stove. But anyway, so right now we have a weak mayor. I'm going to be a weak mayor. I'm not going to have any control. I'm not going to be the one steering the ship. The only like extra that the mayor gets above and beyond the commission itself is the right to break or a second vote if you need to break a tie, and the responsibility that in a disaster, you essentially have the powers of a sheriff. So I think I talked about this before too. If there were a major disaster, and I don't mean a bad storm, I mean a major like communications down for an attack, F5 tornado, like really, big stuff, then the mayor is essentially deputized to help deploy resources, help try to find ways to communicate and get things up and running again. And then immediately upon the disaster being handled by bigger authorities, the mayor goes, "Okay, all you guys." So, good news, I'm really good in an emergency. I can keep focused through almost anything. I'll probably sit down and cry later, but I'll handle the stuff, if the poop hits the fan. So, you can rely on me. One of the things I'll do is that shortly after I'm elected, and definitely before tornado season, I want to sit down with the county emergency management team and say, "Okay, guys, what the heck do I do if, Joplin, Missouri style tornado hits us here? How can I do this right? How can I be a very responsible mayor?" But that's something we'll hopefully never have to worry about, right? I don't ever, ever, ever want to have to enact those powers. But anyway, if we have a strong mayor, which is different, and we would have to change that by changing our city charter, that would eliminate a city manager. That would mean that the mayor did become the captain of the ship and that the mayor was the person giving orders to all the departments and not only helping make the decisions, but also helping to execute them. Then I think term limits maybe aren't that important, because if you don't like how the city is being run, you just elect somebody different next time. You find somebody really qualified and you run them against the guy you don't like or the girl you don't like. Sorry, I'm being gendered here. But one of the things you'd look for in an effective city manager is somebody with a master's in public administration or a master's in business administration. I happen to have a master's in public administration. I literally have the exact right education to run a city. So even though I'm not going to be able to run a city, if I had to, I could. And if I ever had the opportunity to, I would. I would be thrilled to actually run our city. But that's not why I'm running for mayor, because I'm not going to be able to do it. The mayor in our situation, in a weak mayor system, does not run the city. So if anybody's telling you that the mayor does, please point them towards this video. My hair's a mess, I'm starving, and I got you all the information you needed, right? So thank you so much. I'm sorry I've talked for so long. I really wanted to make this short and just give you guys a really thorough understanding of the type of system that we have, which again is a weak mayor system, not a strong mayor system. If you want a strong mayor system, we can work on that. We sure as heck can. We can change our city charter. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take everybody getting together. It's going to take a lot of noise to even consider it or to put in term limits if we want to keep a weak mayor. So thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for loving the city as much as I do. Thank you for taking time to think about how to make our neighborhood better, our community better. Thank you for any effort you're putting in. And I hope to goodness to see you on November 4th at the polls. I will be at least 100 feet away. So if you see me that day, I might be waving my own sign. I might not, because I figure that by the time people get to the polls, they already know who they're there to vote for. And I will probably be out knocking doors and making phone calls and just reminding people to show up. Also, if you're busy on Tuesday, November 4th, our city clerk has graciously opened City Hall for absentee voting on Saturday, November 1st between 8 and 4. So if you're busy on Tuesdays, you've got Saturday before the election to go ahead and vote too. And I highly encourage you to think through your voting plan now. Actually think, what do my Tuesdays look like? What if it's rainy? What if it snows? Am I going to get called into work that day? Is that the day I work late? Like, go through your day in your head and figure out, am I voting before work? Am I voting after work? Am I going to pick up my friend? Is there anybody I know who needs a ride? Please make those decisions now, because you're about 100 times more likely to actually show up. As long as I've campaigned, I've had good friends who were very, very interested and involved. Some people who actually even volunteered for campaigns flip out when they realized they missed the actual election. I've had so many phone calls. Oh my God, it was yesterday. Yeah. So good news. We've still got, a week and change. You're looking for Saturday, November 1st at City Hall between 8 and 4 to vote via absentee, or Riverside Church on Tuesday, November 4th between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. If you're in line at 8 p.m., they have to take you. I doubt there's going to be a line. That's probably almost irrelevant to say, but I'm used to giving a good election pitch. So again, everybody, thank you so much. I'm going to go eat dinner. Tonight I am having chicken thighs with asparagus, or I'm sorry, not asparagus, artichokes, mushrooms, Parmesan cheese, some broccoli, and a bunch of riced cauliflower. And it's creamy. And I took one bite and it's delicious. So yay. I hope I made you a little bit jealous about my dinner. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you all. Have a great night.